morning, everybody. I'm Jackie DeSanto, as George told you. I teach primarily online and asynchronous courses. I didn't start out to do that. If you were listening to the opening remarks, I'm part of the generation that used black and white televisions and a phone with a cord. I've learned because I'm curious. I'm an original typing teacher. That's what I started out at way back in the 70s. I like gadgets, and I've had a lot of support from our ed tech department. They make it fun and they make it very easy. What I noticed with my students in my hybrid courses, I teach 2 sections of 101 in June. One is totally online, one is hybrid. I notice panic, I notice fear, very capsulized because I only see them for 3.5 weeks. And I kept that fear in my mind the following fall when I taught a hybrid section and an asynchronous section. And I noticed the fear didn't disappear. It was just spread out over a longer period of time. And I started to look at my syllabi. My syllabi tend to run between 11 and 15 pages. I give policy, schedule, brief explanations of assignments. It's a walking document. And I started to believe that the fault lay in scaring them too early. So the following summer, I experimented with something that I call tapas, teaching tapas or small bite syllabi. No food, but I found that cute. I was hungry last night and I found this cute picture. Okay, I also did some research into this, and there wasn't a lot I could find, but I did find research on why students panic in an online environment. And the one that hit me the most was that maintaining a purposeful presence as an instructor in an online environment, even if you see the students once a week, you disappear out of their mind. Their safety nest is gone the minute they walk out of your classroom. Has been described as more important in cyberspace than when you are with those students 2 or 3 times a week. I also found a statistic that was alarming to me. Almost 20% of students in online classrooms reported that the minute they tended to get that sense that I'm behind, I'm lost, I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing, they couldn't get back. They never quite regained that momentum from the beginning. I can do this, I'm interested in this class, I've heard the professor's good, I need the course. Whatever was motivating them didn't have enough power to keep them going. And please forgive my voice, I don't know where it went today. I'm usually quite loud. What needs to go into a small bite syllabus? You need an introduction. I use it as a standalone piece. I actually I cut it down to 4 pages. It's really hard for me, but I got it down to 3 or 4 pages. And I give them the book with the picture of the book, the course description from the catalog, the student learning objectives, 1 word or the title of an assignment and how much of a percentage it is, 10% of the final grade. Everything in one spot, because you have to give it to them. And I give it to them at the very, very first day. You also need, when you're designing this, to start to think about sequence, more importantly than when you're teaching it in one document. You need to plan it out. Where is my cutoff? When I teach my 1-month course, I break it in 3. First week, second week, the rest, the 10 days or the week and a half that's left. When I do it in a full semester, I do it by month. For fall, I would do September, October, and then November, December, because it's really only a week or 2 of December. Deliver it regularly. Now, that does not mean you're held to a date, but you need to let them know when it's coming. And I'll show you my fall field experience course. I've divided into 7 sections, and I tell them from the beginning, the first 4 are going to be weekly, and I give them first week, they get the introduction section, and week 1. 1 week to the day later, they get the second section, second week. 1 week to the day later, they get weeks 3 and 4. Because I've built into this, because I have flexibility, the 4th week is catch up. So I'm holding their hands and keeping them on track by building in, which we don't have the luxury of doing in a traditional course, because you see them and you have to keep going. Take a breath. I'm taking a breath. I want to see what you've done, see how you're feeling in this online environment, and I'll decide how we're going after this. All right? After that, because the nature of my class is a little bit more flexible, they have to be out in the field 120 hours. It's not all textbook content knowledge. I then tell them, I will send you an announcement when I'm sending the next section. It won't be weekly. It'll probably be every 10 days or every 2 weeks. And they don't get it in scheduled deliveries, but they know it's coming. Patterns of presentation. This is not where you experiment in how you're going to present the information. Determine what you want your small bite to look like and just reuse the format. Mine is like a checklist, and I've tried really hard to be concise, 1 page, plus directions for whatever assignment is coming, but 1 page, almost a to-do list. And I stick to that. It's really hard because there are segments where I really want to break into a second page, but I've told them, I've shown them, you're getting a 1-page checklist. If you need to be a little bit more narrative or a little bit more verbose, use that pattern. Use the same font, same title, same predictability. They need to know what's coming. Put your personality in there. If your role in the online class is the taskmaster, let that come across. If your role is the nurturer, don't worry, I'm afraid of this nonsense too. I'm going to hold your hand. We're going to explore together. Let that come through. I like to put a quote at the bottom of mine. They're afraid. I have found no matter how many online courses, and I have one of my online students here, no matter how many online students, how many courses the students have taken, there is that slight discomfort with the unknown. What's coming next? I don't have the teacher every day. The teacher may not even be on campus, may not even live in the city. Could be an adjunct teaching from far away. I need some comfort. So put your personality in there, because very deliberate presence, as we heard in the first quote, your presence is important. They need to start to get a sense of who you are. Okay? And clear and concise. Please don't duplicate the 11 or 20 page syllabus and just cut it in half. Change it up a little bit and shrink what you're telling them. What I need to tell them that doesn't fit on that 1 page, I deliver through announcements. They sometimes get 4 announcements a day from me. I don't send an announcement every day, but I'll chop up what I have to tell them into categories and send an announcement by topic. You need to include your contact information, the course description, the expectations, textbook with picture, SLOs, a little bit about your grading, and the assignment titles in that introduction. Don't waste the space in the little small bites for this information. Put it up there, post it on Blackboard, you're done. They should be reading this. Okay, what comes out of this academically? I have not found research on this. And I'm going to ask you at the end, if you're interested in researching this topic, I'm looking for partners. So let me know. Better time management. I get so much fewer late assignments. I actually get early assignments, which freaks me out because I'm not the best grader. I'm not grading anything early. I get them early. I get them better done with more attention to the original directions. Okay. I'm also finding that the students take the time to go beyond what I've asked, or to do what I asked and conduct real research. Get to a library or get to an online search engine and look for good material. When I give them the full syllabus, I find that they tend to jump ahead and they just have the image of the calendar in their head. I have to finish this because next week we're going on to this. They don't know what's coming ahead. As far as they know, there might not be another heavy assignment for 2 weeks. So they do take the time. I've seen it happen. I also find that because I'm only releasing the syllabus in small segments, I have the flexibility to change it. I don't have to go back and reprint the syllabus or revise the syllabus and say I've changed things, because I can stop and say, it appears as a very huge interest in this particular person or article or topic, we're going to spend a little bit more time on it. Or if I see the reverse, if I see the need that they're not getting this, something's up, I'm not late because I control what's due next time. I can say, we're going to try this again. I'd like you to read this article, or why don't you try this website, or why don't you go back to the library and show the articles you're using and see what else can be added. So it gives great flexibility. I can also spiral back and make stronger connections if something comes up weeks later. Supportive approach, these are benefits for the emotional well-being of the students. There is purposeful presence. Even when you teach in class, we only have 105, an hour and 15 minutes when we teach twice a week. We're so filled with the content and the need to get the message across. We often teach from the first moment to the last moment, and then we're off. We're running to an office hour, a committee meeting, or the next class, and so are the students. They have the luxury of approaching this segment at their convenience. That's the beauty of teaching online. So they oftentimes put much more effort and much more intent into figuring it out or paying attention to our presence there. Respect for first-time jitters. By doing this, you're showing them that there is a difference in this format. There is a difference in this venue. And there's something very valuable here. I don't have that Tuesday, Thursday clock. I have a whole week where you can visit this. So I'm going to work with you and try and alleviate some of the stress that I know you're feeling. Prioritize focus. By dividing your syllabus into smaller bites, you really are paying attention to what matters most in your course. You are forced to get rid of the repetitive mention of details because they're there and they're in a high priority order. You've put them in the right segment. You've put them in the right numerical position in that weekly or monthly segment, and you've told the students this is important. I've reduced the information I'm giving you so that all I'm giving you is what really matters. It supports learning styles. Here at Hostos, the education department is an internationally recognized learning style center, so we're very much aware of what our students need at both ends of the spectrum. Task persistence, students that are task persistent will love the small bite syllabus because it's a checklist. I did this, I did this, I did this, I'm done. Students who struggle with task persistence and focus, you've shrunk the amount of material they need to consider. You're also training them to develop the ability to start at step one and work their way through. You are helping them pay attention to detail. It does give structure, but yet it reduces structure. In one hand, it supports structure. It's a very structured environment using a small bite syllabus. But it also takes structure and allows you to change what the course looks like as you need to. You may be teaching 3 sections of the same course, and you're making different changes in each section based on who's in that course, what they're interested in, what their strengths are, right? How the semester clock interferes with each course. I mean, when I teach online, all the commotion and busyness often doesn't affect the online environment as much as it does the 2-day-a-week in-person class. And your analytic and globals, analytics love this. They love the step-by-step. They love the escalation of difficulty. They love having it presented to them as a to-do list. Globals are a little bit trickier to convince. They need your presence. They also need some kind of imagery. My little checklist man here with the pencil shows up. I try to put a picture somewhere. I try to add color. It's online. You're not duplicating it. No one's going to yell at you for using colored ink. You can make it as attractive as you want, and I find that's another draw with small bite. Because I'm not producing the larger document at one time, I have the leisure to stand there and work it a little bit so that it does look nice. I frequently, in one course, I use iconic images so that wherever I mention a topic, there's a picture, and it'll show up the next week. the same picture. It'll show up in the original document. It shows up in the grading, the assignment instructions, so that as they're looking for something, they're just looking for a picture, right, and they will find it. Okay, thank you. Feel free to contact me if you're interested in trying this, or if you want to help me do some research on it. But I do want to show you my course. This is not me. Where am I? Here I am. Okay, let's get you out here. Okay, this is my EDU 107, which is field experience. It's one of the last courses the students in teacher ed take. They are out in the field for 120 hours, but they do have 7 or 8 chapters, it depends on which group I have, to cover. They also have 4 key assignments, including a capstone assignment to cover. I have everything listed under course documents, and you'll see it upside down. It'll be backwards because the most recent is on top. The 7th section was given out with the hooray. Then you have 6. There's the directions. You have 5, 3 and 4 because I gave them that break week. 2, 1 with the introduction, and I'm going to show you what the last piece looked like. Okay, this is what it looks like. Again, I use colored ink to highlight. You have, what do you have to do for the 7th section? I didn't tie my hands by call it week because they got this late April, early May. They actually got it late April, right after break. So it's not technically the 7th week. We went on a few tangents in between. I have 5 pieces of information that they need to pay attention, 5 things they actually have to do, brief directions in it. They're working on a child study. Attached to this are directions for the child study. So they're getting a 1-page section to the syllabus, but there are attachments. Here's my quote: "We're early childhood. Froebel discovered kindergarten," and I have a picture. Okay? Now my pictures, I also have a typing mistake. Not good for a former typist. Okay. They get this. Some of my students who rely on paper will print this. They will print this, but it's always there. They are not flipping through my traditionally 11 to 20 page document to say, what was due today? Where are the directions? What do I need to do? Plus, I would never have this much information for this particular week in the syllabus. Never. So I'm able to give them more by shrinking everything else. I hope you enjoyed my little presentation on tapas for teaching. It came out of necessity. I like it. I don't know of many people that are trying it. If you're interested, I'm available. Just give me a call. Thank you for listening.
Any questions for any of the presentations? For any of the presenters?
In the back.
I just want to thank you. I think it's great to see sort of a simple solution. Like sometimes we spend a lot of time looking at technology and like learning a platform and learning kind of format, and it's great to see sort of like great tricks that people are using to just respond to the format.
Thank you very much.
I think that's
In this case, because when I was doing it, I said, does it fit in with ed tech? The technology actually makes it easier. In a traditional course, I don't think I would be printing out small sections. It's because of the technology that I'm able to do that.
I have a question for you. Does the portfolio persist after the class is done? Or do they have to make sure they download their portfolio before the class is done?
Don't do it.
It should be accessible through the My Portfolio link at the top, through the tab. So it would persist as far as we know. But it is a new tool, so.
This is a full online course. Yeah?
I use it for both. I have a completely asynchronous class where I never meet the students unless they come to my office, and I use it for my hybrid courses.
So hybrid course, when you meet say once a week, what you discuss? I mean, is there any problem in the online submission or?
No, what I tell my hybrid, the way I run my hybrid course is, all the documents are online, exams, my content exams, are online, my longer answer exams I do in class, and the syllabus is online.
Right.
I tell them, you have to find it there, and I give it to them in a monthly setting. What I do in class then is, we work on the content, we explore the content, we work on problem solving. We do not discuss the assignments, other than it's coming up, have you read the directions, anybody have questions? Whereas before, when I taught them twice a week, I found for the major assignments, one of those days I spent completely going over assignments. Or telling them, you need to read this. When you think about what you do with your students in a 2-day weekly sessions, you're giving them a lot of directions. A lot of your teaching time is spent, remember to read, remember you have to put up a discussion board, remember you have to do the research. I take that time back, and they can find it and get a couple questions. Now, I was asked last year, I was observed in my hybrid class, and the person was observing me, took a look at the small bite syllabi, and her question to me was, do you have a completed syllabus available for somebody that asks for it? I have used this a dozen times, and I have never had a single student ask me, can I know what's coming next? I need a full syllabus. And it is available, because we have to turn it into OAA, so it's available by the second week of class. And no one has ever asked me what's next. So I take that as a really informal piece of research. It must be something that's comforting to them or something they're interested in. Yes?
How far in advance of due dates are you releasing information? Because our students, have such busy lives, they need the time to plan.
When I'm doing it weekly, the readings, the discussion board, it's a week ahead. If I release it on a Sunday, everything is due the following Sunday night. Major assignments, at least three weeks to a month ahead. Right, and one of our major assignments in the field course, they have to put 6 weeks into an observation, so I give them that months ahead. All right, but I repeat it, each time I do repeat it, it's repeated as if it was fresh. So for the one capstone course assignment, it's given and repeated often. And that's the child study book that was in
They
there.
can submit their assignment online too.
Yes, always, always. I have when it's a hybrid course, I do have them bring, because it's also writing intensive, so they bring a paper version, we work on revisions, they do peer editing, but the final assignment is in, because I'm very much in love with Safe Assign, and it takes time for me, it saves me some time. And it's also, as my co-presenters show, it is an easy leap then to the e-portfolio, because they're required to do an e-portfolio. And I have to thank you, because I learned some tricks that will come to practice with you.
So is our e-portfolio separate from their Blackboard?
That was my question for George.
George, yeah.
Can we do what they do?
Is our e-portfolio separate from Blackboard's portfolio?
Oh, no, we have access to Blackboard's e-portfolio, and you can,
Does it go into the same place as the original e-portfolio the students have made?
you're talking about the, what is it, education?
Yes, yes.
No, it does not.
So it's
Yeah.
totally
It's
separate.
totally separate,
both
and that's
of
why we haven't been,
Okay.
trumpeting it.
So we're not where they are yet. We have to.
No.
But George,
but
isn't the portfolio assignment is still available within the class
Yes, it is.
option?
Uh-huh.
Even if it's not the
Yes.
institutional e-portfolio, you can still do it.
You can still do
within the course.
portfolio.
So I could use the Blackboard portfolio
Yes.
as the practice and then still
Right, yeah.
require that they
Yes.
put the final version. Because
Right.
for us in our, for my class in the e-portfolio, I only want the totally revised version in it. My graded version, I don't ask them to put in, I ask them to do it after they've gotten
Well,
it.
the revisions is partially because of the grading scheme used for the course. When they initially turn in an assignment, they get a grade on it then. And then the portfolio as a whole gets a grade.
Same.
So what the portfolio grade would be is if they submitted an assignment, did not do any revisions, the initial grade holds through the portfolio. If they then, but say they got a 4 and they revise and they get a 9, the 9 is what gets counted toward the portfolio grade. We totally omit that first draft grade.
Kind of a double check.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
If they
I
wanna
don't do that.
They do it, some of them choose to not, they'll get poor grades on the first time around and choose not to update it. Most of them do. It's typically, in my experience, maybe Chandra can add to this, that portfolio assignment, not the portfolio, the periodicals assignment is what hangs them up,
That and the annotated bibliography.
which does not have the option to do a revision because that's not turned in until the portfolio.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Like that periodicals, they have to go out and find 3 articles from newspapers, 3 articles from a trade or specialty publication, and 3 articles from a scholarly article, from scholarly publications, and then give the APA references for all 9. And a lot of them have trouble distinguishing what's a trade or professional publication from a scholarly or a newspaper, and that's where they lose points more often than not.
They're also the APA page, they.
Yes.
I use the e-portfolio for, as a reflective journal, but I think using it through Blackboard is easier because you can control when they're writing it, you can control your comments, whereas I find going to our separate e-portfolio, it's not, I don't know half the time when they've submitted it because they can change that date around. But somehow they figured it out. Or they can say they don't want the comments private because they want the comments private because I'll write down, okay, the date that they wrote it and just make a comment. But then if they don't make that, if I can't see that, I don't know I don't see when I don't know if I'm making sense, but I think I can control it with Blackboard because I see exactly then whether they've done it or they haven't done it, and I have a record.
But I think it'd be an interesting experiment because it exports as an HTML-based file. I don't know Digication, but I'd be curious to know if you could take the export that Blackboard gives you, import it into Digication.
That would be wonderful if it worked.
It's
That would be
worth
good.
trying out, just that we're not a Digication school, so.
We have a project for you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, just to make sure, the bottom line is, you know, you have all the tools of Blackboard that they have, so.
And I wasn't aware that they
yeah.
were there. I'm glad I listened.
Mhm.
Yes.
With both formats for the e-portfolio, Education and Blackboard, how is the content backed up? If you remember, Education had a total meltdown 2 years ago, and it was just before finals. My students were doing Education presentations, and I had maybe 6 students. Everything was gone because Education was down. It was supposed to come up. Oh, it's gonna be up tomorrow. It's gonna be up tomorrow. It never came back for us, and so those students had to scramble to find all the piecework that they'd done all semester. So I never went back to Education. Is Blackboard backed up?
That's a really
What
good
happens?
question. That's one George or myself, we would have to pose to, because I'm also my campus Blackboard admin, we would have to pose to QDCIS. Because I'm not sure into what the implications of backups are on that data.
Mhm.
That's a great
Because
question.
it's tied to the student login, because it's available through my portfolios. And I don't know if that information gets backed up independent of the course in which the assignments were submitted through. So like, I don't know I honestly don't know what would be the implication of, say, the student uploaded a personal artifact. That's not tied to a course. Because when they back up the servers and they back up classes, they're backing up the assignments as part of the class. So I assume in that case, that content would still be attached to the class and at least could be recoverable that way. If you had to do, say, a course restore.
With the personal.
But if personals, I don't know, it's actually a really good question.
Yeah. About the personal.
That we may wanna
yeah,
raise at
personal assets, I don't
EPAC
know about
or
that either.
DMC.
Yeah.
Especially if we're encouraging them to go forward with this e-portfolio.
Well,
as a
we're
life
encouraging
change.
it, we don't have
Thing for
education,
us.
we don't have something else in its
We're
place.
really working to make e-portfolio a part of our hybrids. And the students who are on board and were excited and have been doing it for quite a few years without these kinds of glitches, but that semester, it was their final project.
Oh, we're not a education school and I still heard about it, so. Meltdown was the appropriate word.
That was it.
months.
Okay, is that it?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.